Welcome once again, human beings, other beings, animal friends, cats, dogs, parrots, gerbils, hamsters, goldfish, our alien being friends, and whoever else is joining us this evening. Welcome, welcome. Back once again for our, what for me is a Thursday afternoon, evening meditation. So it could be any time for you, and it could even be millions of years in the future, as far as I know. Probably you're not watching this at some point in the distant past, but we could say it could be any time in the future. Maybe all of YouTube ends up on some Starships like entertainment database, just because it's just easier to put it all in there than to try to edit it. So let's just assume this is being watched on a starship heading for the Horsehead Nebula, 10 million years in the future. Okay, so hello, whatever you are watching this. Welcome to this guided meditation this evening. As usual, we're going to jump right into the meditation part. But first, I want to say something, which is for almost 2 years, something like 1 year and 9 months or something like that, these guided meditations have been brought to you by both me and San Francisco Dharma Collective. And in fact, what these guided meditations started out as was simply my class at San Francisco Dharma Collective being live streamed. So if you go to the very first ones of this playlist, not the oldest ones on my YouTube channel, some of which are far too old and I should probably remove them, but if you go to the earliest ones in this SFDC playlist, you'll see that was back when we could be live in a room with other human beings with no masks on, that long ago. And so it started out that way. It was my class, and we set up my iPhone to stream it, and it was horrible. The sound was really bad. And it took us, I had to get a special microphone for the iPhone and do all kinds of stuff until it started working. But eventually it started working. And that was the source. That was the beginning. That's the origin story of these guided meditations on YouTube. And just for the record, I'm going to keep doing these forever, as far as I know, maybe even 10 million years in the future. I will still be doing these, having reincarnated many times in order to fulfill my vow. Who knows? But tonight is the last time that I will be doing this as part of a collaboration between myself and San Francisco Dharma Collective. Now I'm still friends with San Francisco Dharma Collective. I still love them. I love the people there. However, I've moved to the North Bay, or I guess northern part of the East Bay, and probably won't be going into San Francisco very much once that gears up. And for a whole bunch of other reasons, including the cosmically important mystical fact that this is the 108th video in this series. And as we all know, 108 is the magic number in Buddhism and Hinduism. I just thought it's time to set this form of me leading these guided meditations to rest. So I'll still be here. I'm going to take next week off. I'm not really taking it off. I'm actually going to be live teaching via Zoom at the Mountain Cloud Zen Center in, is it Arizona, New Mexico? Somewhere in the Southwest. Mountain Cloud, that's Henry Schuckman's, Roshi's Zen Center. So next week I won't be here, but after that I will be back forever giving guided meditations on this channel. But after that it will just be me, Michael Taft. And SFDC continues to put on programs. I'll still be doing Death Sangha with SFDC in August. And then after that, it will be, I'll still do stuff with the lovely folks there, but it will be intermittent. It won't be scheduled like this. That's the only big difference. These scheduled ones every week from now on after tonight will just be brought to you by me. So that's what's going on. Let's meditate. All right. And so let's begin by setting up our posture. Remember, for so many months, I've had you sit like a mountain. And then the other week, I had you sit like an ocean. And so that's going to be our metaphor for how I want you to sit tonight. So instead of the kind of immovable world mountain, tonight I want you to sit as the infinite world ocean. So this isn't a literal ocean, this is a metaphoric ocean. This is an ocean that's so large, it has no boundaries. It's so relaxed because it's water, right? It has that beautiful power of water to just release and open and let go. And furthermore, in our metaphoric infinite world ocean, it has this, it's a mythical world ocean. It has this sense of tremendous open-heartedness, tremendous soft open-heartedness, right? It's very, very sweet. It's kind. It's loving. So I want you to sit like the world ocean. And the world ocean in this case has its spine pleasantly upright. You can actually sit in whatever posture you want, but this is the one I recommend, having your spine pleasantly upright, top of your head lifting towards the ceiling, chin tucked, chin tucked a little bit, not a Jalandhar Bandha, but just a little bit, just enough that the back of your neck opens up. Otherwise, if we tilt our head up, it gets scrunched back there. So we want it so the very, very peak of your head is going up. And then everything else is relaxed. Everything else is taking on that open, soft, gentle, boundless release quality of a mythical, infinite ocean. Okay? So tune into that right now in a very pleasant way. Feels good to sit like an ocean. And what I want you to do next is to remember why you're meditating. What are you doing here tonight? What is the purpose of your meditation practice? And just bring that up and say something like, I am sitting, doing my meditation tonight because boom, fill in the blank, but have a reason. It's not that we're so goal-oriented or that we're achievement-oriented or something, but we have to focus our minds a little bit. We're not just, woo, because there's so many distractions. If there's no reason you're sitting, then there's no reason not to just hang out on TikTok watching people spray paint or something. There's a reason we're here, right? So let's be honest about it. Talk about our purpose. Why are we meditating? What do we hope to achieve? And even in our grandest view of meditation, like I'm meditating in order to liberate all beings, even beings on a starship 10 million years in the future. That kind of thing. Just whatever, really why are, in the largest sense, why are we meditating? And then what I'd like you to do is I want you to picture, we're always picturing a Buddha, but tonight we're going to picture green Tāre, okay, which is a beautiful female Buddha. I have a hair here or something. I want you to picture this beautiful female Buddha, green Tāre. She is green from head to toe and is sitting on a lotus. And I want you to picture her lotus floating in that infinite ocean that we're just metaphorically being tonight. The lotus of green Tāre floating there. And Tāre is a female Buddha, right? And so she has the properties of a Buddha. And I want you to picture her with her perfect enlightenment. And I want you to take on these properties in yourself. Okay, as you see green Tāre before you, resplendent on her lotus, I want you to take on the properties that we're always talking about taking on when we begin meditating. And first is her tremendous wisdom. Perfect wisdom, right? Prajna Paramita, green Tāre is perfect wisdom. Now feel that wisdom in yourself. It's a sense of wisdom. It doesn't have to be particular information, it's wisdom. And then I want you to feel the sense of confidence. Tāre is a Buddha. She is utterly confident. This is not somehow overconfidence or arrogance. It's just confidence. Absolute knowing that she can do it. Next, I want you to notice the playful, spontaneous quality, playful spontaneity of Tāre. She's very alive, playful, spontaneous, of the moment. Everything seems to be fresh in the moment. It's not too serious, not too stolid or stodgy or planned. She's spontaneous. Buddhas are all playful and spontaneous. Next, I want you to notice her quality of joy and love, right? There's tremendous joy, tremendous love. Very open. And again, I want you to notice these qualities in yourself. Feel joy and love. Feel confidence. Feel playful spontaneity. Feel wisdom. And we'll just throw one in there. Feel tremendous clarity, right? That bright, awake awareness of green Tāre, the tremendous awakeness. Feel that awakeness now. Take on all these properties, even if it's just a little bit, just a hint, but move into that mode of being green Tāre. And I want you to now just visualize that the green Tāre floating on her lotus just comes into you now. And all those properties fill this infinite ocean, this infinite, relaxed, open ocean of awareness now. And I want you to just feel yourself breathing. And you can do this by just allowing awareness to feel breathing. Awareness is this ocean of awareness, is feeling the breath rising and falling. Feeling the breath rising and falling. Noticing how pleasurable and how delicious it feels to breathe. So let's do this for a while. Let's just breathe together and feel how good that feels, and just relax into easy concentration. Feel the tremendous joy and deliciousness of that in-breath filling the body, and the utter release and letting go and opening on the out-breath. And just continue with that. Staying with the awareness, feeling the details of the breathing, continuous contact with the details of the breathing, getting more and more of a sense of staying continuously with the breath while remaining open and spacious like an ocean. Good. And now with that out breath, just allow awareness to dissolve into the infinite ocean. Allow the breath to dissolve into the infinite ocean. So that on the in breath, we're noticing the feeling of breath in the body. And then on the out breath, we're just allowing awareness to, and the mind and all thoughts and all being to dissolve into the infinite ocean of awareness. Let's dissolve into the infinite ocean. Good. Now continue with this, but let also the in-breath dissolve into the infinite ocean, letting go of the breath, focus entirely, and just allowing the ocean of awareness to rest in itself. Ocean of awareness resting in itself. We're not paying attention to any of the waves or ripples or currents, none of the fish or seaweed, just the water of the infinite ocean of awareness, aware of itself. So this is, of course, dropping the ball, right? We're not engaging with any content at all, not even the breathing sensations or body sensations. Just awareness, simply aware of itself. I recommend that you do the rest of the practice with your eyes open if you can. If it's too difficult, then you can practice with your eyes closed, but it's helpful to learn to practice eyes open, even if you're just cracking your eyes and letting them gaze at the carpet or at the wall or something. You're not looking at anything, but having eyes open is helpful. Good. Now let's do something just slightly more active. One of the things that can arise in this ocean of awareness is thinking. There can be pictures in your mind, there can be words. And normally we get attached to this thinking and glom onto it and kind of follow it very closely. Here, I just want the ocean of awareness to notice that thoughts are simply ripples that, or fish or something. Let's say bubbles and ripples that arise in the ocean of awareness. And that they arise in the ocean of awareness and they pass in the ocean of awareness and they're completely empty, empty, empty. The ocean of awareness is aware of the thoughts, but it only sees their empty movement. There's no engagement with the content at all. It's just the ocean of awareness sees the movement of thought and knows its emptiness. Each time you find yourself engaged in the thought, just let that go. Come back to the ocean of awareness, knowing the thoughts as empty. If you're stuck in the thinking or involved in the thinking, come back to just being this vast ocean of awareness outside thinking. Remember that you're not actually mentally picturing an ocean, just for the record. It's just the vastness of awareness, the vast ocean of awareness. Okay, good. Now let's come back to just being the ocean of awareness, not engaging with any of the content, but not actively looking for its emptiness either, just simply resting as the ocean of awareness. Remember, the ocean of awareness is bright, it's clear, it's crisp, it's relaxed, it's very, very open hearted, very, very open and clear. Simply resting as the ocean of awareness. Okay, good. Now let's come back to a slightly more active mode with the Vipashyana, this time on emotions. So, as any emotion arises within the ocean of awareness, the ocean of awareness recognizes that emotion as empty. It's a movement in the ocean that arises and passes. It's simply a ripple in the water. Now, you might be saying, well, I'm not having any big emotions, but notice I never said big. These can be tiny little emotions, little tiny emotions. Slight sense of frustration, or maybe a little bit of anxiousness, or maybe even kind of an edge of joy. Whatever's arising, no matter how tiny, emotions arising in the ocean of awareness, the ocean of awareness recognizes them simply as ripples that are empty. Let's really allow awareness to notice the emptiness of all emotion now. the subtlest, tiniest little movement or twinge or hint of emotion counts as something that awareness notices and sees as empty. If you get caught up in them, remember you're just caught up in a ripple, a bubble that then dissolves back into awareness. And suddenly awareness is just back with awareness itself, seeing the emptiness of these ripples of emotion. Good. Now let's come back to just being the ocean of awareness, resting in itself, the water, resting in the water. It's very easy for water to just relax into its natural vastness, incredible vastness. Pure, bright, clear awareness, resting in itself. No activity, no doing of anything at all. Okay, good. Now coming back into the more active Vipashyana, let's do both at once. So the ocean of awareness is noticing any thoughts that arise and seeing them as empty. It's noticing any emotions that arise and feeling them as empty. All these ripples, all these waves, all these bubbles of thought and feeling arising and dissolving and arising and dissolving over and over. The ocean of awareness sees them as empty right away, sees them as empty, and continues to rest as itself, not getting engaged with thought or feeling at all, but simply noticing them clearly. Let's do that now. If you get caught up, Just back up, maybe just do thought or just do feeling until that becomes easy again, and then add the other one back in. Okay, good. Now just come back to dropping the ball. The ocean of awareness resting as the ocean of awareness. Without any effort, already aware that all is empty. Not doing it as a technique, but just remaining in that place where everything arises and passes as empty. The ocean of awareness simply resting in its own awareness. Bright, clear, totally relaxed, completely effortless. Let's do that now. Okay, good. Now, just for a minute, as the ocean of awareness, again, bring up that image of green Tāre, the green-skinned female Buddha, sitting on her white lotus. Feel that wisdom radiating from her. Feel the kindness and the clarity and the confidence radiating from her. Feel the tremendous joy and spontaneity and play, the spontaneous, playful, joyous, wise, clear, bright, loving, compassionate manifestation of Buddhahood. And take that in again, let it permeate the entire ocean of awareness, all the way through and through, all the way from top to bottom, even though there is no top or bottom, all the way side to side, even though there are no sides, so that the entire ocean of awareness is just full of this radiating joy, playfulness, spontaneity, wisdom, clarity, kindness, love, confidence. And allow the ocean of awareness to just radiate these qualities of the green Tāre in all directions. As I chant the green Tāre mantra a couple times here. Om Tāre Tuttāre Ture Svāhā. 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 And then just let go. And just be this ocean of infinite awareness, resting in itself again. Utterly still, utterly silent, utterly peaceful, utterly awake. Resting in itself. All right, everyone, let's end the meditation there. Remembering that, of course, when we end the meditation, nothing really ends. The ocean of awareness is still the ocean of awareness. The brightness, the clarity, the awakeness, the wisdom, the joy, spontaneity, playfulness, the compassion, the confidence, all of that is still there. It's always there. But now we'll end the external honoring of those properties through our meditation and talk for a little while here. So feel free to move and stretch, maybe take a refreshing drink of highly caffeinated matcha tea, green matcha green tea. And let's talk, I'll talk a little bit. And then later we can do some Q&A. So it's really interesting to me that when we want to work with the mind, that it's important to recognize that the mind is its own theater. The mind is its own stage. Very often when we're working with something that's obviously external, or let's say seemingly external, like, let's say we're doing some woodworking, we're carving something, or let's say we're doing some information labor on a computer or whatever, washing dishes, combing the cat, feeding a child. When we're doing something external like that, we're always interacting with, things that seemingly have their own kind of thing going on. How I feel about the dishes that I'm washing and so on matters, but the stuckness of the cheese on the dishes or whatever that's been drying there for half a day matters too. And so, there's this kind of interactive quality going on. Yet when we're working with our mind, it's just the mind. And so the mood you're in, or to put it more clearly, the stance you take with the mind actually really changes the outcome dramatically. We know that the stance you take, like let's say a positivity stance or a optimistic stance versus a pessimistic stance really matters in the external world. Other people will interact with you differently. Your outcomes actually do change based on your mood and the way you approach things. But when you're dealing with the mind, it's much more intense. This property of stance mattering is much more intense because the mind is only reflecting itself, right? It's like the stance becomes everything. And so this is why at the beginning of the meditation, I want you to think about your purpose, why you're meditating, because that gives you a sense of purpose, brings a little bit more focus to what's going on. But I also want you to attempt to take on these properties of a Buddha or of green Tāre, or it could even be like a person living or dead who you think of as having those properties. It could be imaginary, an imaginary non spiritual being, like a superhero that you admire or something. Maybe you really admire the properties of, I don't know, Black Widow or something, and you want to take those on. And so it's really important to imagine the properties of the mind state that from which you do the meditation. Okay, it's not like it's not like this idea that, hey, we're just going to sit and notice what's happening. Because when we say we're just going to sit and notice what's happening, we're ignoring the fact that we're always noticing what's happening from a stance, right? We're always noticing what's happening from a view. If we're feeling super depressed and negative and really feeling very self-critical and so on, and we're doing everything from that stance, what we see, what we encounter, and the outcomes of our meditation are going to be strongly affected. And there's no way that you can say that sitting and let's say we're just meditating on the breath, sitting and doing that from a depressed, self-critical, super negative, despondent place is quite different than doing it from, let's say, a confident, joyous place, or even from a place where we're angry and upset, but in a different way, like not despondent. All of those different mind states affect how we just sit and look at what's just happening, right? So it's very important to take on a mind state of joy and clarity and playfulness and confidence. These are properties of the ground of being anyway. They're properties of a Buddha. Buddhas aren't just neutral, they have these properties. And the mind is not just neutral. We think that if we did, get down to the emptiness of everything, that there would just be some kind of total neutrality. But that's not what it does. It's when we have total emptiness, there's joy present, there's spontaneity present, there's wisdom present, there's clarity present. These are the properties of the awakened mind. And so even if you're only feeling it 1%, even if you can't even feel it yet, but you can just pretend to feel it a little bit, to shift into that mode, it's going to really help your meditation practice. It's going to lead to a more alert, awake, clear, loving, open-hearted, kind, compassionate, joyous, playful, spontaneous experience. Because that's what it's like to work with the mind. And so it's funny, we can sometimes get a little dogmatic, especially for teaching mindfulness or whatever. We can get a little dogmatic about just witness or just see what's there or just somehow notice without getting involved. But this is kind of I guess I'll say it a little more harshly. This just noticing doesn't exist, right? It's a fantasy because we're always coming from a view. We're always coming from a stance. We're always coming from a viewpoint. And I don't mean a physical viewpoint. I mean our way of seeing is always influenced by our mind state. Okay? So that's why we envision things like the Buddha and take on the properties, or envision the green Tāre, who I adore, and take on the properties of the green Tāre. Let me type in the green Tāre mantra, which is an open source mantra. Anyone can use it. That's the green Tāre mantra. Green Tāre is a very ancient deity in Buddhism and Hinduism from India. In Tibetan, she's known as Jetsun Dolma, which means basically the green savioress. Anyway, look up Green Tāre. She's awesome. And I love her mantra. And she's a very powerful Buddha to work with. Okay. So I'll open it up now for questions, comments, reports from anyone who'd like to ask me some questions. Just type it in the chat window and I will answer your questions now. Heather is saying, thanks so much for the beautiful meditation. And she loved the Tāre chant. And Ankit also says, yes, the Tāre chant was nice. Yeah, feel free with these mantras that we sometimes do in here to just sit and say them silently in your mind or chant them aloud. There's something really interesting about how mantras tend to soothe the mind. You'd think that, oh, I'm making this mental content, therefore I'm making my mind active, but it's actually the opposite. Because you're making a predictable, continuous kind of mental content, it actually soothes the mind dramatically. Ankit is asking me about my thoughts on anger. Sometimes he feels it's necessary to express. What I would say is that, what we're doing here is Tantrism and essence tradition style meditation. So we're not saying anger is bad or wrong or somehow should be eliminated. Anger is a perfectly natural emotion that arises, and even in a fully awakened Buddha, there might be some kind of anger-like emotional experience. Something that externally is indistinguishable from anger, right? However, the two things we want to remember is that anger is empty, and to see I'll say three things. Anger is empty. It's just a movement in awareness. Anger has awakening at its core. Its core essence is awakening. It's never separate from awakening. And if you see that emptiness and that awakening as the core of anger, then anger can be very clarifying. It has a very clarifying effect. And I would say the thing we want to be very careful about is the expression, the external expression of anger. Of course, so easily becomes harmful, so easily becomes damaging, so easily becomes violent. So we don't want to say, oh, anger is so sacred and holy, and therefore I'm expressing my anger on you, and that's somehow a teaching or whatever. We're going to say, you want to keep that to the absolute minimum, right? We're never trying to express that on somebody, okay? Sometimes we need to express anger to form a boundary, like, hey, stop doing that. But we keep it to a minimum. And while inside, always never getting caught up in it, always noticing its emptiness, always noticing its awakened properties. Eric says, when you say we meditate from a mind state, would you include a body-mind state, or do you mean something more restricted? Neither. I mean something bigger than even a body-mind state. But yes, we're not doing the Western thing of separating body and mind here, dualistically. When I say mind, I mean awareness state that includes thoughts and feelings, which are empty, but also present. So even less restricted than body-mind state. Bigger than that, but yes, including the body, including thoughts, but also including the vast space of awareness. Thank you for that question, Eric. Yeah, it's always embodied. Jamie, Is it normal to feel an increased separation between where awareness seems to be coming from and the thing being noticed as empty? Maybe similar to not self. Should we be somehow dissolving the separation? Yeah, eventually you're going to notice there is no distance. There is no separation. And in fact, there's no place awareness is coming from. We don't always talk about it on YouTube, although sometimes I go into that part of the teaching, but awareness has no center. Awareness is not coming from anywhere. That's why we're calling it an ocean. And every part of that ocean is equally aware, and there's no boundary or limit. And furthermore, not everything is part of the ocean. So there's no separation of any kind. Okay, so it might feel like there's a separation, and it might feel like there's a place awareness is coming from and looking at another thing, but eventually we will notice that that's not the case. The all that dissolves as empty also. And there's just arising in the field of awareness with no distance, no separation, not even a location. Okay, so thanks for asking that, Jamie. So if you have any other comments or questions, now's the time. I'll take one last little sip here, and it's going to be too late for caffeine. I'm going to have to tone down the mania later this evening. D asks, can you speak about ways to rest in awareness when engaging with others? Do we see the other person as empty of self? Ideally, we see ourself as empty of self, the other person is empty of self, and the other person, again, there's no distance or separation. They're as much the awareness as we are, right? And that doesn't mean we're the same thing in kind of a reductive gray goo sense. But what I'm saying is they are in awareness, you are in awareness, and it's one awareness. And there actually is a kind of total non-separation there. And so if we only saw them as empty of self, but we saw ourselves as having self, that would be kind of total narcissism, right? Total solipsistic narcissism, where everyone's just a dream in my mind. But we have to remember we're just a dream in awareness also. And since both dreams are occurring in awareness, in a way they're equally real, equally valid, equally fascinating, and equally deserving of love and compassion and connection and understanding. Fool Jeff, hey Fool Jeff says, doing this emotion plus thought practice has been lovely. I've noticed for the first time emotions like an extreme, this is important, coming up with a casual thought like, I wonder how my friend is. Seeing the emptiness of that is very relaxing. Seeing the emptiness of everything is very relaxing, right? And it's so fascinating. You can be enraged, but seeing its emptiness, your internal state is relaxed and unhooked. Seeing the emptiness of an external situation that's really intense, we become relaxed and open and ready to engage. Not somehow like, oh, I see it as so empty, I can just not do anything. Instead, you feel like, again, spontaneous and alive and ready to go, like I'm going to engage. So emptiness gives us lots and lots of room to be alive in the world. Okay, so let's switch gears here. Thank you for your lovely questions, everybody. And if you're watching this 10 million years in the future, write your questions in the comment window, and hopefully some future incarnation of myself will answer your questions. But now we switch to the begging for money part of the show. So get ready. All these 108 meditation sessions have been brought to you by myself and San Francisco Dharma Collective. And it is my goal, my desire, my sankalpa, right, my spiritual goal, to give these to the world for free. And it's also San Francisco Dharma Collective's spiritual goal to give these to the world for free. Anyone, anywhere can watch these free of charge if they just have access to YouTube somehow. Absolutely free. If you'd like to help make that happen, if you'd like to support that, if you'd like to help keep SF Dharma Collective going, if you'd like to help keep me going, able to produce these, able to create these, then feel free to donate to the links that Katie is now putting in the chat window. We would really appreciate that. And we deeply appreciate all the generous, open-hearted, kind donations that people have given for the past several years. Okay, thank you so much. As I said, I'll be gone next week because I'm going to be teaching remotely to the Mountain Cloud Zen Center, which I'm really looking forward to doing. They couldn't do it any other night but Thursday night at this time. Normally I wouldn't miss, but just I can't wait to teach at Mountain Cloud. So I'm going to do that instead of YouTube. But if you guys beg enough in the comments window or on Discord, maybe I'll just record one and then not a live one, but record one and put it up Thursday night anyway. Remember that in mid-August, on the 14th, we're going to do Death Sangha. Death Sangha is wonderful. It's powerful. It's triggering on purpose. It's intense on purpose. So remember that you got to sign up for that one on Eventbrite, and the link is in the chat window. So come and do Death Sangha on the 14th, and I will be here in 2 weeks with the same old Michael Taft, Nondual, guided meditation stuff. And I can't wait to see you all here then. All right, everybody. Have a great evening, or whatever time of day it is, or whatever year it is, or whatever kind of being you are. Realize your inherent awakeness, your scintillating, shimmering, raging awakeness that radiates kindness and playfulness and spontaneity and togetherness and true love throughout everywhere and all times forever. See you later.